welcome back to my channel, Princess Living Free. Y'all, the last video that I put out rocked the boat a little bit, but for the most part, you guys were absolutely amazing. Like, I did not expect, some of those comments that we got were very constructive and insightful. You know, you guys had some deep things to say, and it made me think, it made my husband think, so I really appreciate you guys and all of your input. Now, of course, I'm sure you saw there were a couple people who decided that they wanted to be disrespectful to me and to my family. And for those people, they got blocked because, you know, I'm all for discussion and even disagreement, you know, and talking things out and hearing from one another. But we have to be respectful. So, you know, when it comes to like disrespecting me or disrespecting my family, I don't play that, okay? So, yeah, moving on beyond that because, you know, we're not gonna dwell on the trolls. But anyways, if you guys saw the post that I put out yesterday regarding the big breaking news that came out of Addis. So, Ethiopia has formally submitted an application to join BRICS. This is huge. So for those of you who may not be familiar with what BRICS is, it is a coalition of nations who came together in an agreement to trade in their own currencies and to not, you know, be bound by trade in the US dollar. So BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And the list of nations who are interested in joining this coalition is growing rapidly. So most recently, Ethiopia has formally said that they are interested in joining. And so, you know, why is this such a big deal? So the current system that is in place, or, you know, basically the one that is going to soon be the old system, makes countries trade in the US dollar currency, even if they are not trading with the US. So for example, you know, if Ethiopia wanted to, you know, buy something from China or vice versa, they would have to complete that transaction using US dollars. You know, the same thing, for example, if India and Brazil wanted to trade something, some commodity or good, they would need to do that in US dollars. But the countries started to think and come together and say, well, why is it that we need to be bound by this dollar when we're not even buying something from the US? You know, we can just trade in our own currency and not be hindered. And so, you know, in the current system where countries have to trade using the US dollar, the American government uses the system, weaponizes it against those countries who disagree with US foreign policy. So, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever the foreign policy issue is, if a certain country does not agree, the US government will implement sanctions against that country, thus hindering their ability to conduct trade with other countries, right? So they were being a bully, essentially. The US government was bullying other nations. And so the other nations said, enough is enough. We have had enough. We don't want this anymore. So Ethiopia is joining the ranks with those nations. And so, you know, what's interesting about this is that Ethiopia was her hand was forced in this decision. And what I mean by that is I think the country was willing to play the game with the US, was willing to continue trading in US dollars. But as we all know, there has been a shortage of US dollars in Ethiopia, a foreign currency period in Ethiopia. You know, the government has really been trying to just generate some kind of foreign currency for the country to continue its operations. And so with that in mind, the Ethiopian government reached out to two entities, the International Monetary Fund and the World Economic Forum, if I said that right, IMF and WEF, for a loan. They asked both of those entities for loans in foreign currency, in US dollars, and they were denied. You know, and I think the situation, the economic situation, the inflation, all of the stuff going on in Ethiopia it has reached a boiling point, right? And so once they were denied for that loan, they were probably thinking, we need to look at other options, right? It doesn't make sense that we won't be able to conduct trade just because we don't have enough dollars. So, in that regard, that's what I mean that, maybe their hand was a little bit forced in this situation. But whatever the case, this is one step closer to really the downfall of the dominance of the US dollar. Like in these BRICS nations, you're going to begin to see the US dollar decrease in value with the currency exchange rate. You're going to see worldwide the US dollar weaken as the global reserve currency. And so obviously this is not good for America. And I'm sure they're trying to figure out ways around this. And, there's a lot of talk about digital currency and all of these things that are coming up. Actually, I think July 1st, which is, as I'm recording this tomorrow, I think there's a FedNow system that is supposed to be rolling out by the US government to implement this whole new digital currency move. So things are shifting and changing worldwide. And I believe it's all going to happen very quickly. So, keep your eyes open, stay up to date with the news, world news, economic news, and position yourself wisely, for these changes. I think those who are in the BRICS nation are going to see a rise and a strengthening in their economy. So, if you can get a hold of those currencies, you may be wise to do so. It's probably also wise not to hold on to so many, or not to keep so much of your currency in US dollars. And, I do want to make this disclaimer that I am not a financial advisor or an economic advisor, any of that. I'm just speaking to you based on my opinion and my observations, about maybe what might be smart and what we're planning to do to position ourselves strategically for this global economic change that is coming and even now here. So yeah, definitely consider what your options are. I think, that's why we have been really encouraging people to, first of all, Black people, to return to the continent. I think Africa is the future. Africa is the now. There are other countries who know this, who are interested in it. That's part of the reason why land in Ethiopia has gotten so expensive. They're just high interest in investing in Ethiopia at this time from countries like China and Russia and others. I mean, even America. So, I think that's why we've been encouraging people, like, do what you can to buy land or buy a house or, start a business or something, on the continent. And of course, this channel primarily focuses on Ethiopia. So that's what we talk about here. But if Ethiopia is not for you and you're not interested in Ethiopia, or you think it's not safe, or, whatever the case may be, look at other nations. There are, 54 countries on the continent to choose from. And so, explore other options if Ethiopia is not piquing your interest. But definitely, now is the time to start thinking more strategically. That news that came out about Ethiopia applying to join BRICS, for me, was a confirmation of what I've been hearing from the Most High and what I've been, seeing and observing happening, the trends, right? And so yesterday was a confirmation for me of like, yes, the Most High was saying, you have been hearing me right. You're hearing me clearly and you're on the right track, So it boosted my, my confidence and my faith. And so, this is definitely about to be an interesting period. The end of this year, we may see a lot more changes that are coming, especially in the West and right here in America. So, consider your options and let me know down in the comments what you guys think about all of this. Like if you are already familiar with BRICS and the economic changes that are happening, like what are your thoughts? What does this new development mean to you? And if this is the first time you're hearing about it, I also want to hear from you as well. What do you think? Is this coming as a shock to you. You know, I think a lot of people have felt for a long time that the US dollar would always be dominant and would never fail and always be strong. And, you know, that's just not the case for any dominant nation or what's the word I'm thinking of? Not regime. I don't know, y'all. But anyways, like for anybody who has been on the top, you don't stay on the top forever. Nations rise, nations fall. You know, kingdoms rise, kingdoms fall. And so, and this is something that dates back even to biblical times. Like, this is just a natural cycle, a natural progression. And so, you know, people who've always thought like the dollar will be strong, it'll never go down, it will never fail. Like, I think this is kind of a wake up call. It's like, you know, it's very possible, and even more so than possible. So yeah, anyways, I don't want to make this video too long or run on too long, but I am interested to hear your thoughts. So remember, please be respectful in the comments. Like, I love to hear the dialogue and have a great exchange with you, but I don't like when, you know, people can't express their ideas in a respectful way. Anyways, thank you guys so much for your continued support and for watching the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.